Jenkins looks at the idea of interactive audiences. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, cultural studies researchers struggled to establish that a new audience had been formed, the so-called interactive audience. Advertisers saw the trend and assumed that it was true, and they described this new interactive audience as no longer a couch potato. He determines what, when, and how he watches media. He is a media consumer, perhaps even a media fan, but he is also a media producer, distributor, publicist, and critic. Jenkins believes that rather than talking about the interactive technologies, as cultural researchers had done in the past, we should rather document the interactions that occur amongst media consumers, like you and I, between media consumers and the media texts, and between media consumers and the media producers. This new participatory culture is taking shape at what Jenkins sees as the intersection of three trends. First trend, new tools and technologies are enabling consumers to archive, annotate, appropriate, and recirculate media content. Second trend, a range of subcultures promote do-it-yourself media production, a discourse that shapes how consumers have deployed these technologies. And third trend, that economic trends are favouring horizontally integrated media conglomerates, encouraging the flow of images, ideas, and narratives across multiple media channels and demand more active modes of spectatorship. So it's with the intersection of these three trends that we have a new media marketplace formed. In this new media marketplace, audiences are gaining greater power and autonomy as they enter into the new knowledge culture. And powerful conglomerates, although they're giving up some of their power to the audience, will still protect their own interests. If we look deeper at this knowledge space, in 1997, Pierre Levy offers a vision of the knowledge space in his book Collective Intelligence, which he calls the Cosmopedia. Levy's Cosmopedia predictions were the deterritorialization of knowledge on the web, which may enable broader participation in decision-making, new modes of citizenship and community, and the reciprocal exchange of information. The emergence of new knowledge space, according to Levy, will break down geographic constraints on communication, cause declining loyalty of individuals to organised groups, diminish the power of nation-states to demand exclusive loyalty of their citizens, and the new knowledge communities that will be formed will be 1. Voluntary, 2. Temporary, 3. Tactical, and 4. Defined through common intellectual enterprises and emotional investments. So in overview, Levy's Cosmopedia predictions predicted these changes. That you may shift from one community to another as your interests and needs change, a lot easier than you used to be able to. 2. That you can belong to as many communities as you like at any one time. And 3. That you will be held together by the mutual production and reciprocal exchange of knowledge. From the time Levy published his predictions in 1997 through to 2002 when Jenkins published them, and 2003 when Virginia republished them, we've seen quite a few of Levy's predictions come to actuality, particularly in online fan communities. Fan communities are expansive self-organising groups. They're focused around collective production, debate and circulation of meanings, interpretations and fantasies, and they are a response to various artefacts of contemporary popular culture, and their membership is through affinity, not locality. The history of science fiction fandom helps illustrate how knowledge communities emerged before the internet. Hugo Gernsback in the 1920s and 30s saw that science fiction was a means of fostering popular awareness of contemporary scientific breakthroughs during a period of accelerated technological development. Gernsback's Astounding Stories publication became a forum where lay people discussed scientific theories and technologies. The published addresses on the letters were used by fans to form an informal postal network, and later on conventions then facilitated face-to-face contact between fans worldwide. Many significant science fiction writers have emerged from fandom. Fan ideas influenced commercially distributed works. There was a reciprocality between readers, writers, and editors. Star Trek fans are a great example of an activist audience with early adoption of digital technologies. In 1998, Nancy Baim looked at online soap fandom. She said that fans are motivated by epistemophilia, not simply a pleasure in knowing, but a pleasure in exchanging knowledge. Fans of David Lynch's early 90s TV series Twin Peaks actively recruited members to expand their range of interpretations, thus supporting Baim's claim. So if we now move over to the context in which these fan groups developed, we see that the old commodity space was defined through various forms of decontextualization: the alienation of labour, the uprooting of images from larger cultural traditions, the demographic fragmentation of the audience, the disciplining of knowledge, and the disconnect between media producers and consumers. The new information space, however, is defined by multiple and unstable forms of recontextualization, and the value of any bit of information increases with social interaction. Meaning is a shared and constantly renewable resource, and its circulation can create and revitalize social ties. Computers had a lot to do with the changing of fandom. High-speed networked computers were the turning point in the development of collective intelligence. There was an increased speed of communication, a broader range of perspectives available, the scope or the reach of communication increased and crossed international boundaries with ease, though time lags in distribution of cultural goods across national markets hampered full participation by some fans. The internet is becoming more effective as a platform for consumer activism. Grassroots sites are often popping up, either to name and shame or to support products and media texts. Fans now have the ability to develop the infrastructure they need to support their own form of dialogue. Though with the fan groups coming online, where they once would never have actually been able to communicate with each other, they are now able to communicate, and flame wars are erupting as their differing opinions clash. Kirsten Pullen in 2000 estimated that there are more than 33,000 fan websites in the Yahoo web directory. Web publication of fanfiction has now almost completely displaced printed zones. Games have become tools for fan storytelling, example with Quake and The Sims, and fan edits of films have become increasingly popular. Example, Star Wars has more than 300 web movies. In this new climate, where knowledge culture meets commodity culture, Levy sees 4 potential sources of power with complex relationships. 1. Nomadic mobility. 2. Control over territory. 3. Ownership over commodities. And 4. Mastery over knowledge. Levy says the distinctions between authors and readers, producers and spectators, creators and interpretations will blend to form a reading-writing continuum. Whereas cult works were once discovered, now they are being consciously produced, designed to provoke fan interactions. Take, for example, the cult science fiction series Babylon 5. They have computer, role-play, and card games, even viral marketing spoofs. In order to be marketable, new cultural works will now have to 1. Provoke and reward collective meaning production through elaborate backstories and extra-textual expansions of the program universe. 2. Provide more intricate story arcs and cliffhangers. 3. Interact with fans. And 4. Use transmedia promotional strategies. The question then arises, will producers of media texts adapt to this new climate? Will they see fans less as copyright infringers and more as active associates and niche marketers? Levy sees that attempts to regulate intellectual property will undercut the economic logic of media convergence, so it's really in their best interest. Without a book reading culture online, where would Amazon.com's book-selling site be? Media producers are scared of culture jammers. Jammers want to opt out of media consumption and promote a purely negative and reactive conception of popular culture. Fans, on the other hand, see unrealised potentials in popular culture and want to broaden audience participation. The problem is that media producers don't make this distinction, and they class all bloggers as jammers. But bloggers can be either jammers or fans. They navigate between commodity culture and knowledge culture, and try to make commodity culture more responsive to consumers.